My name is Jan Kucharz. Call me John Cook. It's translation. It's simple for you probably. And and in the last 3 years, I've been reading a lot about how to make good and reliable domain models. It works. Cool. So I'm keen in domain-driven design. Are there folks who heard about this? Wow, cool. I'm also a member of user experience community in Czech Republic, so I'm not just a backend guy, but I do also what user can see and what user interacts with. And I'm a big fan of PHP stan and static analysis in PHP because it actually eliminates a lot of bytes in code. So, I will talk about enumerations, which are value objects, which are parts of the domain model in almost every application. And basically, this project, because I will show you my library. This project started as a school project when I'm playing with Java, and there is really huge enum in Java, and I want to bring this into PHP because you can actually define behavior on top of every value in that enum. And this project was about some orders, and you have like new order, and then this state transitions into preparing and delivering and cancel. And there are only few valid ways you can go through these states. And this is where I've actually explored that stupid constants with integer for state is not enough. Yeah, so I will show you how enums are implemented in C-like languages, why it is bad, and then we will show how to have better enum for PHP. So, are there any folks who've been developing in C, C#, or C++? Oh, okay. So you should probably know what this is. Yeah, this is definition of enumeration, where there is some base, and you actually assign just number to that named alias, to that number. And this looks pretty simple. We are assigning Monday to day 1. Okay, but what about this? We are assigning 4/2, day 2. And it compiles, and that's a problem, right? Because in the C, enumeration is just renamed integer, so there is no behavior on top of that, and it should not compile, obviously. So in PHP we have C enum heritage, and we have to deal with it. So standard like equivalent of enum from C in PHP is integer and constants. And this C-like enum is quite limited. It has quite limited usage in domain models. So, what's the problem with that? It's about type safety. There is a function which accepts just integer, and it should be day of week. There is again hope. So it's type unsafe. Another problem is that every time you use a value, you have to have switch or a lot of ifs, which will go through all the values, and then there is some behavior here on this line. And this domain logic, which was that in a function, spreads all over your application. It's not in one place. and that's a big problem. Another thing, every time you use value of that enum, you have to validate that there is not nonsense inside of it. So we have to have default from unexpected date, which is nonsense again. And we can eliminate that. So this is not good, right? There is SPL enum in PHP, but it's basically class constants, so I will not use it. But there are also custom enum implementations to the rescue to our problem. So this is how it can look when you use one of custom implementations. There is some method, set action, which has on input action, which is our enum, which looks like this. And by extending from one of the libraries, I have guaranteed that there will be only one of these two values. So that's this library, which is type safe, and it allows simple behavior. Another problem you will see when you will be using that first library is that you can't compare instances. So there is another library which can do that. You can see here there is card color red, and card color black. And when there is red and red 2, you can compare them, and it's true. So this is another library which brings the ability to compare instances. And now I will try to refactor one enum, because there is still one missing piece, which we will fill here. So this is again my day of week enum, written in another enum library. There are static methods with name of values. So we will use it just like this. When we want to access the value, we just call the method. We will receive the value, and this is the original function with that switch, but just rewritten to ifs. So it's pretty the same code. But it hasn't solved anything yet. And so let's try to push behavior down. It was that function, so we just moved that function, which was global there, into the enum. So we can call function directly on every value. So API now looks better. There is day of week, Monday, and you can call next day. That's our domain logic. And you get Tuesday. But there is still this ugly code with ifs, which are hard to read, and there is still that exception. If someone adds new value into that enum, I will get this exception because these ifs doesn't cover the case. So, and you can fix both of these problems by using composition. So let's try that. I've changed class day of week to abstract, and I've declared that I want from every value abstract function next day, which returns self, means value of enum, and then I will add to day of week enum method provide instances which will define all values of Monday, Tuesday, and so on. These values, every one of these extends from day of week from the original enum, and it is guaranteed on type level that there will be method next day which is returning the value of enum. So now we have now our type system knows that every enum value will have next day function. We got rid of all ifs and switches, and our API haven't changed from the previous example I've shown you. So you can download the library here on Composer, and it has one more advantage over those libraries before, that there is behavior by composition. So this is all from me. Are there any questions?
Could you go back to the code?
Yeah.
The code, okay.
Yeah, the last example, no?
This one.
Just to see and analyze a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can go through the code if you want. We have time.
So can I add more methods to every value? Monday can be like, here's the, I just add it, into that anonymous class.
Yeah, exactly. I have also prepared a live example of the order state, so we can go through that if you want. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Here it is. So we hear it how it looks when you actually use it in like more real use case. There is order state, which extends from enum, and you define values, declare values, and then there is the provide instances, where every value extends from the order state. And if you want to have, if you want to be sure that every value in that enum has some method, you just add here in the parent class new function. And look at that. Now it's red here. So it's guaranteed. And if you have PHP style in your code base, you just can commit it into your repository. So this is perfectly safe. So, and this is the example where this is the order state. So here you have order, received, and you can do transition to preparing, and then from that preparing state you can do transition to finished. And then I'm asserting that it works, and it actually works. This is not really interesting, but interesting is this. If you are in state received, and when you want to do transition to finished, it will just throw an exception. Because when you step into this code, there is the transition on parent class, which will check that if this is transition allowed, it's not allowed, which is our abstract method, which every value implements. It will just throw an exception. It will not allow you to shoot you into your food. To test. Okay. You mean negative or positive? Yeah, by the way, this is not a tester.
Because I was checking the way you do the test, like insert exception, anonymous function. So the way I use this is commenting on the way you were doing the test.
Okay. Yeah, this is not a tester. It's just like simple executable file. Yeah. So it just goes through those lines, and if it returns 0, it passed. It's also open source. Use it. It's great.
PHP stone.
Are there any more questions?
I wanted to how that state then, for example, how you would map it to again to a database.
Great question. It's it's simpler than it looks. Because, oh my god. Yeah. It's very simple. Like when you have, for example, in Doctrine, there is a class which translates every object you put in the Doctrine to some primitives and back from database and to database. So what do you do? For example, there is finished. So there is method gets color value, right? And then there is another method or the state from scalar. That's it, right? Super simple. It can be one closure. You don't even need interface for that. Okay, so thank you for your attention if it's all from question block. And reach me later on bar probably. And here is my Twitter handle if you want. Or email.